would you support this? If it were true, would you support getting the tax benefit for your children, or would you rather it to stay the way it is, where the other parent gets the tax credit? Think about your personal situation. Think about how much the mom pays and fees, and whenever you may not be aware of something and she's put up some money, or an auntie has done it. Kind of be honest about it, and see where you stand. We'll start out with Steele, just briefly. What would you guys do?
I don't want another person to negotiate for me that doesn't have my best interest. Period.
So you would want the government to be involved. Let's throw the same question over to Kevin. Knowing your personal situation, would you be okay with this law taking place, or would you be like, man, my baby mama does a lot. Maybe we should keep the way it is, or find a common ground?
I think what pertaining to my situation, I think I'd be okay with a father getting the tax credit, because theoretically, if father's doing what he needs to do, um, he's gonna use that money in a different way. Like me personally, that money wouldn't even touch my bank account. It'll go somewhere away from my child, because theoretically, if you're doing what you need to do as a dad, you're making sure your kid has clothes. And if you're paying child support, then at the end of the year, that shouldn't affect you. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you're just doing your job as a parent. It's not. It's just what we do. So it shouldn't be involved about money. And
So
that money,
Kevin, are
when it
you
gets
are
to
you
you,
saying, are you implying that the baby mothers are not doing what they're supposed to with this money?
when we live in a world where a lot of women.
Are you about to engage in blasphemy?
Versus mom, and I see the way a lot of children go to school versus their parents. The money is definitely not being used the way it is. I have my own business. I don't spend money on getting myself all done. I spend money on making more money for my family, to make it easy for them. So I think a lot of men look at it differently. They're not going to let their kids. They're going to look at their kids over them. They're not going to. They rather have their hair look a mess than their kids' hair look a mess, rather than moms. Their kids' hairs is looking a mess, and then their hair looking good. You see a lot of that now, and it's sad to say it, but it's the truth. So I believe men will make better decisions if they're actually doing their job, and that's pertaining to just my situation. So like I said, that money would never even touch my account. It would go straight to somewhere for my child for the future.
Well, you want to read Billy's comment? And don't forget, guys, you can comment and add your contribution to this by leaving a comment in Facebook, preferably on YouTube, and we should be able to see that. Make sure you guys like the video. A lot of folks aren't talking about these topics. We are trying to get men out of the clearance aisle of life, and that's our purpose here. So let's support this kind of content, especially from a Christian perspective.
Yeah, because he said I never had a problem splitting the income tax from my daughter's mother, but she wanted it all, so I just gave it to her and cut my losses. You know what I mean? I guess, and as men, that's what we do sometimes. We be like, listen, I ain't even gonna fight with you here. Just take it. You know what I mean? Just take it. And sometimes that's like your piece is worth more than money. You know what I mean? Like, hey, listen, that 2,000 gonna be gone in about a week or so. You know what I mean?
Now, I've been told, DK, and Kevin and Steele, you guys close your ears, that most of the guys who are paying child support are basically deadbeat daddies anyway, and the mother deserves the money. Isn't that the narrative that we get?
Yeah.
But that's not always the case, though. That's a narrative that's used a lot of the time, but that's not always the case.
Yeah, give away. Yeah, give away.
I think it is. I feel as though if you're paying $125 or $250 every 2 weeks, you should be able to spend that $250 on an attorney to be able to have your child. And that's from personal experience. I've been through a 9-year battle with my daughter's mother to actually get full custody last week. And I've been spent a lot of money, and when you look at guys paying the child support and you look at how much money you're putting out, when it comes to the like back and forth, I'm speaking from my situation, so I don't know, I can't speak on everybody else's, but like I said, when you can't have good co-parenting and you're paying child support, it's better to send that money towards being able to have your kid, more, because a lot of the women use the children as weapons against us.
Hmm.
Yeah.
A lot of this is very true. The only problem is our country media does not hear these kind of stories. They don't hear about the stories of the men battling to get access to their children. They don't hear about men who really want to be a part of their child's lives. All we hear about is the single mother who's struggling, and the man is not a part of the picture. And as we dug into the numbers with this same kind of topic, to what you're saying, Kevin, we find that the vast majority of women in our community are having children with a very small minority of men. 70% of our children are born out of wedlock,
Yeah,
probably to 14 to 16% of men in the community.
yeah,
That is a travesty.
yeah, and as you were saying, I was just thinking, like most of my friends, one or two things, if they're not together, with their significant other, what I mean, that they always fought for their kids or have their kids. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I don't know anybody, none of my friends who just laid down and said, I ain't gonna see my kid, I ain't gonna take care of my kid, I'm just gonna pay the thing. No, none of them. You know what I mean? And most of them got them. I know. I want to say at least 6 of my friends who had daughters got their daughters. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Usually, the media will never say that. Maybe one thing with boys, but with daughters. You know what I mean? So.
Well, I'm going to tell you guys something that's controversial. Um, if a child is with their mother in a single parent situation, 85% more likely to commit self-deletion, 85% more likely to go to jail, 85% more likely to have social disorders, depression. Basically, every issue in society comes from that kind of environment. However, when we see children that are raised by single fathers, it's second only. It's a very close second to a two-parent household. There's something going on in the houses of men, and when men are in the houses in general, that just changes the dynamics of the family and pretty much saves the children almost from a very negative situation. And it goes to what you guys are saying, and it gives you guys credence to what you're saying. You want to be a part of your lives, a part of your children's lives, and when you are, there's a tremendous impact that society just does not want to acknowledge. I think because we want to decentralize men, and we want to have a more feminist perspective of how the world works. Am I missing something with that, Steele?
Nah, you're right on point. There's a part where when I was listening to the other guy, and he was basically saying to spend the money on the attorneys. It's a hard uphill battle with the attorneys involved because family law and civil law are not the same. And the way that they are going to assess you, it's like they're just picking every little thing apart, and it's stressful. Like he said, it turns into like mental health that you have to worry about now, when really the child should be first every time. So here's my key to the thing: you're never going to really know who you're having a child to, so protect yourself.
Hmm.
Choose better.
I think that's the
We,
best
we have a
choice.
model here, Steele, where we say God has only called us to a purpose, and our purpose is to quote unquote make pizza. If you're dealing with someone who does not want to help you make pizza, they want to make strombolis, they want to make cupcakes, kindly decline being a part of that relationship or that connection with that woman, and focus on just making pizza and dealing with people who want you or want to help you make pizza. We have to exclude women early, and we have to exclude women often that don't line up with the purpose that we need in life, and stop cohabitating with and stop copulating and having children with women that don't know how to get on the proper program. And we as men have to be on the
Right.
proper program too, or else we're leading them into the darkness also.
Facts.
Jason says, I've been with my wife for 14 years. We have 5 kids in total. I help my wife raise her 2 daughters, and with taxes, we use it on the kids plus family vacation. Now, I assume he's saying now she wants to take that money away. So this gentleman has been with his wife for 14 years. Maybe they were divorced, is what he's saying. You got to clarify for us, Jason, that you got a divorce. He knows that the money was
Nah,
being.
I don't think that's what he's saying. I think he's saying that now Trump wants to take that money away that because the other baby daddy was paying for the other 2 kids.
Oh, so he was
Yeah.
getting money from a previous situation in the baby dad.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Well, maybe my immediate thing is maybe don't bank on that, but I get what you're saying. It goes to the point. It's for the children, but in a situation where divorce and you have another man's children in the home, and if he got the money, is he able to actually invest that money in the children? We really don't know. None of this stuff is being regulated. And since there isn't any regulation, it goes back to what Kevin was saying. It's just money on the floor for the government to take advantage of. Right. And that's why Steele, also has this suspicion towards the government. Let's just figure out how to do it ourselves as opposed to letting Trump, Biden, or whoever figure out how to deal with our money, because these people, they can't help themselves but to steal. So I don't know. Maybe as men, I think we need to just be more protective of our meat. I think CGA said this. We need to be protective of our meat, our money, energy, attention, and time. And we got to choose better. I think there's no way of getting around that as guys.
Now give me 2 claps and a Ric Flair.
Well said,
Yeah, so
well put.